Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, you're going to learn how to create pricing tables for your WordPress website using Kadence Blocks. Now, sometimes people add plugins to their WordPress install to be able to have beautiful pricing tables on their website. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to leverage Kadence Blocks, row block, and section block to be able to create complex pricing tables and even some simple pricing tables as well. This way you won't have the need for a plugin to be able to create your pricing tables. And what's also great about this tutorial is by the end of it, you'll know how to create other types of tables using some of the things that you'll learn while creating the complex pricing tables in this tutorial. So if you guys are ready to learn how to create pricing tables for your WordPress website using Kadence Blocks, then let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be building when it comes to the pricing tables. We're going to be building three kinds of pricing tables. The first one are the ones that you're looking at right here. These pricing tables came from the Kadence Design Library, which is a design library that comes when you first install Kadence Blocks. When you first install Kadence Blocks, you're able to pull in these pre-designed pricing tables very easily in a matter of seconds. And all you need to do in this case is just choose the one that you want and then go ahead and add in your information, and you have pricing tables ready to go for your website. The second kind of pricing table that we're going to build are going to be pricing tables from scratch. And in this part of the tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to build everything from the ground up. We're going to start with very minimalist pricing tables, which are going to be easier to create, where you just have the pricing, the different levels, and then a nice list that shows the different benefits for each level. And then we're going to start building on that and getting more and more elaborate as we go. For instance, you can see over here where we're highlighting the middle level here, and then we also have the type text, which is a new feature that comes with the advanced text block in Kadence. And then we're just going to keep progressing, adding an image in the background, lifting some of the pricing table levels off of the page using box shadow, and then adding some color, but still keeping a nice, clean, minimalist look that's very easy to build. The third version that we're going to build is going to be a complex pricing table. Now, in this version, you're probably used to seeing this on some hosting websites or other websites where they have the benefits listed on the left-hand side, and they're using check marks to highlight under each level which benefit goes with which option. Now, this is a really cool type of pricing table to build. However, the challenges with this one is sometimes it's a challenge to go ahead and make this mobile responsive. So I'm going to show you how to build this out on desktop, and then we'll also set up a mobile responsive version so that when you're looking at this on a mobile device, then it also conforms very well to that mobile device, right? So you can look over here. If we were here, this is simulating an iPhone or a Galaxy phone, and you would see over here that the pricing table still maintains its table feature, and you're still able to highlight the options, and everything is organized and set up correctly on a mobile device. So I'm going to show you how to be able to do that. And all of the pricing tables all look good on mobile, especially the design library version. If you look at it on a mobile device here, you can see that everything is designed for the mobile phones out of the box. And you're still allowed to be able to make some tweaks if you would like. And if we look at our built from scratch versions, again, one of the things that you'll notice about Kadence and the Kadence Blocks is that it's very easy for you to make your blocks or your pages or any elements that you create using the Kadence Blocks look very good on a mobile device. Okay, so we'll walk through all of those different portions and all of those different parts of the tutorial, and we'll even build the pricing table here, the more complex one, and we'll build everything from scratch. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. So what you're looking at here is a default WordPress install, and you're looking at the default WordPress 2023 theme. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and install the Kadence theme, and we're going to install Kadence Blocks, which are both free in the WordPress repository. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So you're going to go back to your dashboard, just hover over the admin toolbar, select dashboard, and we're going to go to appearance, themes, click on add new, and do a search for Kadence, and you'll see the Kadence theme here. Go ahead and click install and activate. Okay, now we have the Kadence theme installed. If we go to the front end of the website, you'll see now that the website no longer has the default WordPress 2023 theme. It now has the Kadence theme installed. Next, we're going to go ahead and install Kadence Blocks, which is going to allow us to build out our pricing tables. So we're going to go back to the dashboard, go to plugins, click on add new, and we're going to do a search for Kadence Blocks. You'll see the Kadence Blocks plugin right here. Go ahead and click on install now and activate. Okay, so now we have Kadence Blocks installed. We have the Kadence theme installed as well. Let's go ahead and create a page that's going to serve as our home page where we'll be building out these pricing tables. So go to pages, click on add new, and we're going to call this one pricing page 1. Let's go ahead and set up the page for page building. So go to the settings for this page, which is this icon over here. We're going to disable the page title. We're going to set the page layout to full width. The content style will be unboxed, and the content vertical padding will be disabled. Then we're going to go ahead and click on publish. And when we view this page, we'll see now that the page is set up for page building. Next, we're going to go back to the dashboard, go to your settings, go to reading. Under your home page displays, select the a static page option, and where the home page drop down is, we're going to go ahead and select the pricing page 1. Click on save changes, and now when we visit the front end of the website, we'll have that blank pricing page ready for us to build out our pricing table. Next, let's go ahead and build out the first of our pricing tables, which is going to be the pre-designed pricing tables that come with Kadence Blocks. To do that, just go ahead and go to edit page. And in here, you're going to see a button called Design Library. Go ahead and click on the Design Library button. That's going to bring up this interface over here where you will see all the patterns and sections that are pre-made or pre-designed and that you can insert into the page. The one that we're looking for is going to be the pricing table. Go ahead and click on that. What you'll notice is that there are some that are available for free, and there are some that are available only when you have the pro version of Kadence Blocks. For this tutorial, we only need the free ones, so let's go ahead and install this one. And just like that, in seconds, you now have your pricing table. If you want to see what the others look like, just go ahead and click on the Design Library. Click on the second pricing table. And so right here we have a 2-column one. Over here we have a 3-column one with the middle one highlighted. And then let's go ahead and grab that third free one as well. Here that is right here. And it's also inserted into the page. So all you need to do from this point now is just go ahead and make changes to the pricing, the descriptions, add additional content if you'd like. But you can see in just a few seconds, you now have a pricing table that is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and update this page. Let's view the page on the front end, and you can see the examples of the pricing tables that are pre-designed in the design library. If we look at this on a mobile device, okay, you can see here that it adapts to the mobile version adapts very well. And you can still make changes and edits to this if we take a deeper dive into what these are all made of. And we open this up in list view, you'll see that these are all row layouts, sections, and advanced text. Okay, and then just organize in the way that you want them to be. All right, let's go ahead and move on to building out our own pricing tables from scratch. So let's go ahead and create a new page for our next pricing table. To do that, let's go ahead and click on the WordPress icon here on the left. That'll take us to all of our pages. Click on Add New, and we're going to title this one Pricing Table Number 2. And then on the right-hand side is where we're going to go ahead and set up the page for page building. So go ahead and click on the page settings icon, which is up here on the right. And we're going to go ahead and disable the page title. We're going to go ahead and set the page layout to be full width. The content style will be unboxed, and the content vertical padding will be disabled. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our blocks to the page, which we can do by clicking on the plus sign here that is within the page itself. We can also use the block inserter by clicking on the blue plus sign here. That will open up all the blocks so you can see all the blocks that are available to you. Or what you can do is you can just go ahead and click where it says type / to choose a block and do a / and you will see some blocks that are available to you there. Or you could search for a block that you're looking for. In this case, we want the row layout. So let's go ahead and select the row layout from Kadence. We want a 1-column row, and for this particular row, I want the row to be full width. So here in the short menu, using the align settings, I'm going to go ahead and set this to full width. Then on the inside of the block itself, I want that to be centered in the middle and to be the content width of the theme. So to do that, you can use the inner content width icon here, or over here on the right, if you select the block settings, you'll see the content max width option here. You can go ahead and toggle that on. That'll make the inner section of the row to be centered at 1290 pixels. Okay. Now we can go ahead and add our text to this section here. So to do that, let's go ahead and click on the plus sign. We're going to select a new section. And then within this section, we're going to go ahead and add some advanced text. So click on the plus sign again, click on advanced text, and we will call this our introductory text. And let's go ahead and center that. And we want this to actually be a div versus it being an H tag. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the H tag heading here, and we're going to change this to a div. That'll make the text automatically a little bit smaller. And then what I want to do with this one is I want to make this all caps. So go ahead and select the text over here on the right where you have the letter case under the style tab. Go ahead and select the uppercase option. Okay. Next, we need to add some text below this one. So this is going to be our main heading for the pricing table section. Go ahead and hit enter. And we're going to do a / again. And this time we're going to select the advanced text. We're going to move that to the center by centering it. You can use this icon here to align your text to the center. And we're going to call this our catchy pricing table heading. Okay, now there's quite a bit of space between the introductory text and the catchy pricing table heading, so we're going to go ahead and reduce that. To do that, move over to the right side while making sure you've selected the text. On the right hand side here, the text settings, make sure you're under the advanced tab, and under the advanced tab, you're going to go ahead and select the top margin, and you can move the slider around to visually see how much margin you can add or remove from that text. So we're going to go ahead and reduce this. Let's just set this to be extra small, so we have a decent amount of space still. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some descriptive text here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the end of that title, hit enter, and I want another advanced text block. And this time we're going to turn this into a paragraph and add our text. There it is. And let's move that to the center. Let's add a little bit more. So now you can see here that the text is nice, but it's a little bit too wide. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the width of this text. So to do that, let's go ahead and reduce the width of the section that is containing the text. Go ahead and click on the list view icon, which is this icon up here on the left, and you'll see your blocks that are contained within the page. And what we're looking for is this section right over here. Select that section, and on the right hand side, you can go to the content max width under the general tab for the section, open it, and go ahead and type in 700 pixels. So that's going to go ahead and narrow up that text for us, or narrow the section rather, so that the text is more contained. And if you want to label your section so that you can always tell where your items are, a good thing to do is if you go under the advanced tab and you click under the advanced section of the advanced tab, you can go ahead and label it here. So let's call this our pricing table text. Okay. It's always good to add it without spaces so that you could use this as anchor text sometimes later on. Okay, so, and the good thing about doing it this way is you can always look under list view and see where your labels are, so you know what section contains what blocks. All right, so now that we've created our text, next we're going to go ahead and create the actual pricing table. Okay, so to create our pricing table, we're going to add a row block directly beneath our section that's containing our text. So to do that, you go ahead and select that section, And if you're having a hard time selecting the section, you can open it up in list view and just make sure to select the section from here. So just remember to open up the second section, and then you'll see that third section that's containing the text right here. Select that, and then you can use either of the ellipsis options here. So you can either use this one and click insert after, or you can also do it here and click on insert after. That'll add a new block line right beneath that section for us. And then we can go ahead and do a / search for the Kadence row layout, and we'll add that row layout, and we want a 3-column row. Okay, we're going to create a little bit of space between the two, so I'm just going to add some padding at the very top here. Let's set that up to be 2x large, so that gives us a little bit of space between the text and the row itself. Or maybe I might reduce that to just extra large, might be enough. There we go. Okay, and now we can go ahead and start building out the first level of our pricing table. So to do that, what I like to do is I like to add in all the elements and all the blocks that I need inside of that initial column, and then I proceed to design it and then duplicate it across the other columns. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right now. First, we need some advanced text, so click on the plus sign inside of the column and then select advanced text, and we'll call this first level our starter level. Then hit the enter key, do a /, look for the advanced text, and this is going to be our price. So we'll set this to be $12. Then hit enter and do a / for another advanced text. And this is going to be the frequency of this level here. So we'll say monthly or per month. And then let's also add a button. So hit the enter key, do a /, start searching for advanced button from Kadence, and we're going to put the text for this button to be get started. Next, we'll add some descriptive text for our level. Go ahead and add a new block line beneath the button, and we'll do a / advanced text, and we'll add in some text here. And then we'll do a divider to separate out the initial description from the benefits of this level in the pricing table. So go ahead and hit the enter key again, do a /, this time do a search for divider. We're going to select the spacer divider here, and then right after the spacer divider, just click on the ellipsis again, the options, click on insert after. Now we're going to create a container to hold on to the benefits of selecting this option. So do a / and start typing section. We want the Kadence section here, and then click the plus sign inside of that section, and this time you're going to add an icon list. Select the icon list. We'll give it an initial benefit, so let's just call this our awesome benefit. And then let's duplicate this a few times. So we have several of them. Then the next thing we're going to do is right after this, let's go ahead and add another button so that when people scroll down and finish seeing all the benefits, there's another button for them to go ahead and take action. So go ahead and select that section again. If you have a hard time selecting the section, you can always open it up in list view, and if you scroll down here, you'll see the section right over here. Okay, and then right after the section, we want to add a button. So insert after / advanced button, get started for the text. Okay, so now we've created and added just the text and block information for the first level of the pricing table. Now we're going to go ahead and style this so that it looks good. Okay, so let's start with the heading for the pricing table, for the first column in the pricing table. We'll go ahead and select that heading text, and we're going to go ahead and center it so you can actually center it from the short menu here. And then over here on the right hand side, make sure you're in the style tab. We're going to set the font size to be medium, and we're going to set it to be uppercase. So under the lettercase options, just go ahead and select the uppercase icon. And now that is all set. Next, we're going to go ahead and style the price. So select the price, and we're going to go ahead and set it to be in the center. Then we also want this to be a little bit larger, so a little bit more prominent. So I'm going to set this to be 2XL in size. I'm also going to give this one a line height. I like to work in M's. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to 1 M. Then next is going to be the per month, and for this one I'm going to change it from a heading tag to a div tag. Okay, that's going to reduce the size of it, and then from here I want it to be a little bit larger, so on the font size I'm going to set that to be medium, And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set it to be in the center. Okay, now each one of these headings has some default margins to them. That's why you're seeing all this space. So we're going to go ahead and fix that right now. So for the starter, I think this is fine where it is, but the per month is too far away from the price. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. The way we do that is first, I'm going to make sure that there's no margin underneath the price. So I'm going to select the text, head over here to the advanced tab, click on the bottom margin, and I'm going to go ahead and move the slider around. As soon as you do that, you'll see visually where the margins are. So let's go ahead and reduce that all the way. And then for the per month, I want that to have some distance from the getting started button. So let's go ahead and select that text, and here under advanced, bottom margin, and we're going to give it a nice amount of margin so that there's some breathing room there. Okay, so far that looks good. Now to help us be able to see our column here, I'm going to select the section, move over here to the right, and under the style, let's make sure we have that section selected. Okay, I'm going to open up in list view so I can be sure that I'm selecting the right thing. There we go. And over here on the right hand side, under style, you're going to see the border styles. And what we want to do here is we want to give it a 1 pixel border, and let's just add a nice light color so that when we click away we can see it. You know, that looks a little bit too light, so I'm not sure that we can see that very well. So let's go ahead and reselect that section over here on the right. And let me see, if I increase the border width, okay, that's a lot better. I just really want it to be a much subtler border width. The other thing I'm going to do here on the advanced as well is I'm going to increase the padding. So I'm going to unify the padding sides, and then I'm going to increase this to be small, just like that. Okay, so we have some good spacing, which is going to allow the content to breathe a little bit. Next, we're going to style this button. So I'm going to select the button here, and then over here on the right hand side, I want the button to be a fixed size, and the width that I'm looking for is 200 pixels. And then I also want it to have rounded corners. So let's go ahead and select the style, and let's just go ahead and make it a pill shape. So if you select style and you look here at border radius, if we unify the radius by clicking on the icon here, that'll bring it all into one field. And I'm going to go ahead and type in 50, just do 50 pixels. Okay, so now we have this nice pill shape going. Okay, so far this looks good. Next, we need to style the description text here. So I'm going to go ahead and select that text. I'm going to move it to the center. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want this to be a paragraph text. So I'm going to change the heading tag to paragraph, and that looks exactly right. That looks great that way. Okay. And then next here where we have the divider, I want this to be a little bit more prominent so we can see it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the divider height to be 10 pixels. And then for the divider itself, I want us to be able to see that divider very well. So I'm going to increase the color here. So let's just select one of our colors. And then just to make it more fun, since we always see solid dividers, let's go ahead and make the divider dashed. Next, we're going to set up the benefits and make sure that that looks good. So I'm going to select the icon list, and let's select the parent block settings here. It's going to allow us to be able to change the icon for all of the benefits all at once. I want to change this to a much more filled out icon. So let's go ahead and search for check, and we'll select this filled out solid icon here. Okay, I like the size of it for now, but let me give it a little bit more bigger size. Let's go with 24 pixels. Okay, that looks good. And then for the benefit themselves, so you notice how the benefit is, it's flush to the left, which is fine, especially if you have longer benefits, but I want this to actually be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select the section that is containing this. So if we look at the list view here, you'll see that there's a section that actually contains those benefits. I'm going to select that section. I'm going to move over here to the right, and we're going to open up the content max width, and we're going to make the max width to be 200 pixels. Okay, that's going to give us the illusion that it's centered, but it's actually kind of flush to the left still. Okay, so everything here now looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and close this out. All right, and then the next thing that we want to do is we want to set up our buttons to match, right? So we have a rounded pill-shaped button here we also want to run this pill shape button here as well. So I'm going to select the button. I'm going to copy the style, select the next button here, and we're going to paste the style. It's going to adopt that same style. Okay. All right. So far this looks good. So we've created our first level for our pricing table. So now all we need to do is replicate this to the other columns as well. And this is very easy to do. Just go ahead and click on the first text, which is the label text. Open it up in your list view and you'll see where it's selected. Hold down the shift key and then move your mouse all the way down to the last item, which is going to be the advanced buttons. Okay, now everything is selected. Then from the options here that presents here, go ahead and open that up, click on it, and we're going to click on copy blocks. Now all the blocks are copied. It's about 8 blocks. Next, we're going to click on the plus sign in the second column, select the paragraph block, and then on your computer, you can use Control V if you're using a PC or Command V if you're using a Mac, and that will paste all those blocks exactly the way it looks inside of the next column. Then we're going to repeat that for the third column. Just go ahead and add a paragraph and then do Command V or Control V, and now we have the same information replicated in each column. Now we also want to adapt the styling of this section over here. So go ahead and select the section, make sure the selection itself is selected, and then using the copy paste icon, we're going to go ahead and copy the style, and then I'm going to find that second section, which is over here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that style in there by selecting the copy paste icon and selecting paste style. I'm going to repeat that for the third one. Copy paste icon, paste styles, and now everything looks exactly the same. And we're almost done with our pricing table. Now we just need to change the pricing and the labels for the remaining columns, and we're done with the simplified version of a pricing table. So over here on the right hand side, let's give this a different name. We're going to call this advanced, and it's already styled, so we don't need to do any styling. And then we're going to call this elite, and let's just increase the price here to make it a little bit more enticing. All right, so of course each one probably should have different benefits or an increase in benefits. It's entirely up to you, however you want to shape this. But let me show you something here for a second. So let's say that there are more benefits, and this actually includes everything that you see in the starter option here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the section, make sure I have the section selected, click on the options, and I'm going to insert before it a block line. I'm going to do a / and we want some advanced text here. We're going to set this to be a paragraph, and we're going to say includes everything in starter plus, and a colon right there. And I'm going to go ahead and center that text just like that. And then I'm going to copy this text and repeat it here. So select the section again, insert before, paste, and we'll change this to advanced plus. Okay, so starter plus, all these great benefits, and includes everything in advanced plus. Okay, so one thing that you'll notice here is, let's go ahead and save our work. And if we view it on the front end, okay, here's our pricing table. Just a nice minimalist, clean pricing table. One thing that you'll notice is that these tables are longer because they have the additional content than the starter one. So if that's something that you would want to fix, if you want them all to be uniform, it's very easy to do. Just click on edit page. We'll go back to the editing interface here and select the row, the 3-column row itself. Okay, so here's our 3-column row. And then over here on the right hand side, make sure you have the row layout selected. We're going to click on advanced and structure settings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I want the inner column height to be 100%. So go ahead and toggle that on. Okay, once again, you'll find that under advanced and structure settings. Once you toggle it on, then all of the columns will have the same height. So go ahead and click on update. And if we view the page, you can now see now that they all have the same height. Okay. Now you may be looking at it and going, well, I also want the buttons to be all aligned the same. Okay, so I want the buttons to have all the same alignment. Okay, very easy to do. Let's go back. I'm going to come over here and we're going to grab this text, and you can duplicate this block and then we'll drag it over. Okay, so now that we've dragged this over here, they all now have the same level, except this one can't say includes everything in the starter. So you could just put anything else that you want here. Get the awesome benefits below. Okay, and then go ahead and click on update. And now everything looks good. So, you know, pricing tables do take a little bit of planning, but of course, if that doesn't bother you, you can just have it be any way that you want. Now, one thing that I am seeing is that my button is way too close to the benefits here. So we need to create some spacing here to kind of give the elements in between some room to breathe. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on edit page. I'm going to come over here, select this button. Make sure that I have the button selected. There it is. And then over here under advanced and margin, we're going to go ahead and give this medium margin. Okay. And now that I have it looking the way that I want, I can then do the same thing for the other buttons. Click on update. View the page. So now this looks really good. It's a nice, clean, very, very simple minimalist pricing table. Now, what's great about this is now that we've built this base, what we can now do is build on it and make it even more elaborate as we build out more pricing tables. Let's go ahead and build out 2 more pricing tables based on this design. So let's create our second pricing table. Let's go ahead and click on edit page, and on the same page where we created the first one, what I want you to do is open up list view, select the row layout that's there, and then using the options ellipsis here at the end, go ahead and open that up, and we're going to duplicate this entire row. That's going to give us another copy of the pricing table that we created with the text and all the pricing table levels. Then the other thing that I want to do is I want to create a little bit of separation between the two. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on the row, click on the ellipsis, click on insert before, and let's just add a spacer. Do a / and type spacer. We're going to select the cadence spacer divider, and we're just going to extend this to about, just give it about 200 pixels. So we have some good separation there. All right, there we go. Okay, so now what we want to do on this one is we want to make the advanced, so the middle option, a little bit more prominent, and we're going to subdue the other 2 options. Okay, so let's add some additional benefits here as well, make it a little bit longer than the other ones are. And then next, what we're going to do here is I'm going to select the row, the 3-column row where I have the pricing table, and over here on the right for the column gutter, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that by clicking on none. Then on the advanced tab, I'm going to go to structure settings, and I'm going to turn off the inner column height for 100%. And that way this is going to adapt its normal height for the content that it has. And you'll see why we're doing this here in a few minutes. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to actually highlight this section here. So I want to select the section. So I'm going to go over here to the right, go to style, and under the background color, I'm going to assign a darker background color to it. Now, to make my text be more visible, I'm going to go ahead and select each text heading that I have, go to Style, Color, and I'm going to turn that to white. I'm going to repeat that process for all the text that is available in this option. That way, the site visitors can see the option. Okay, let's just go to Style, select the white color from our palette. For the divider, I'm going to do the same thing, select the divider. And here where we have the divider color, I'm just going to give it a much lighter color. Then here we have some more text. Go to Style, Color, and we'll select the white color from our color palette. And then here where we have the list of benefits, we're going to go ahead and select the icon list. So make sure that when you select it, that you're selecting the icon list itself. So sometimes when you select this, it'll select one of the items itself, like a list item. You can see here on the left-hand side in the list view, it's selected an item. You just want to make sure you're selecting the icon lists. You can often do that here on the list style or if you want, on the right hand side, just select the View Parent Block Settings, and it'll take you to the parent block. Now that I've selected that, I want to change the icon color to something lighter, so you can do either white or just one of your subtle light colors here. Then we're going to also select the list text styling, and we're going to make that white. Okay. All right. So now, just even with this by itself, you can now tell that this is a little bit more prominent, right? So you can see this more. But we also want to separate it out a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some more text. We're going to say that this is the best value or most popular, or we're going to use the advanced text type text to actually bring more attention to this option here. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to select the label which says advanced. I'm going to click on the options ellipsis, and we're going to click on insert before. That's going to give me a new block line. I'm going to do a / and I'm going to create a section. So we want the Kadence section block, select that, and now I have a section to work with. I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to add some advanced text there. And let's go ahead and change the color of this text. So we'll move to the right under style, select the color, and just temporarily we're going to make it light color so we can see it. And then from here we're going to go ahead and type some text. So we'll say best value, and let's go ahead and center the text. You can do that from the short menu here, and we can go ahead and close our list view here so we can see more of what we're doing. Okay, so now I have the text. It's inside of a section. What I want to do now is I want to elevate this a little bit. So I'm going to open up this in list view. Make sure you select the text itself, and remember that section we created initially. Go ahead and select that section. And what we're going to do is we're going to give this section a background color. So we're going to go back to the right, go to style, and we're going to select the gradient type for the background color. Okay, and the color we're going to give it, let's give it a yellow sort of golden color so it's very visible. So I'm going to select this yellow color right over here. Let's get it nice and bright. Okay, a little bit more. There, it's perfect. Okay, and then for the darker gradient portion, let's go ahead and make that more orange. Okay, we'll move this up here. Okay, so that's nice and bright. Okay, now what we can do also for the text color, let's go ahead and change that to a dark color. So I'm going to select my advanced text here, move over to the right, style, and under the color tab, let's go ahead and make that our darkest color like that. Okay, so now it says best value. Now we're going to use a feature that the advanced text block recently received in Kadence Blocks 3.0, and that is the type text feature. So go ahead and select your text, and here in the short menu, you're going to see an arrow next to the link icon. Click on that arrow, and then what we're looking for is we're looking for the typed text feature, which is the last option that you'll see there. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is when you're using the typed text feature, you actually have to select the text itself to be able to use it. So let's make sure we select the text, because if you don't select the text, then it will not retain the instruction. So I'm going to select the entire text, right? Best value. You can also select a portion of the text if you just want a portion of the text to change. But for this particular use case, we want the entire text to change. So I'm going to select the entire text. Then I'm going to go over here to this more icon next to the link icon, and I'm going to click on typed text. And we're going to select that we want the entire text to change to most popular. Okay. And then over here on the speed settings, we want to slow this down a little bit so it doesn't move so quickly. So we're going to go ahead and increase the amount here. So I'm going to increase this to, let's increase it to 1800. And then the type speed, we're going to increase that to 100. And then, oops, not 1000, 100. And then the backspace speed, we're going to go ahead and increase this to 80. Okay. All right, so now that we've done that, you can already see that it's already beginning to work, right? Best value, then it's going to go back, most popular. Okay. All right, so let's just do one more thing. Let's make this all caps. So I'm going to go ahead and select the text again, move over here to the right, and turn the text to all caps. All right, so now let's see if it translates to the additional string. Yes, it does. Okay. All right. So now one thing that we can do to make this even more dynamic is we can actually lift this entire banner or section a little bit above the actual level here. So to be able to do that, we want to select the entire section. Okay. And a great way to do that is just go ahead and open it up in list view. Make sure you have the text selected, and then you'll see where you have it, and then select section. And then for this section, I'll move over to the right, go to advanced. And what we're looking for is the margin. We're going to go ahead and select the custom size option icon here. And we're going to move this up about 60 pixels. And we're going to put a negative sign in front of it to lift up the entire section. So you see how that lifts up over there. And that looks like it's a little bit too high. So let's make it, how about 40? Okay. And that just kind of gives it that overlay effect, or the effect that it's laying on top of the section there. And if you want to make this even more prominent, one thing you can do is just go back to style as long as you have the section selected. Go to border styles, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the box shadow, and that's going to give it a subtle shadow. And you can make that a little bit more prominent if you want to. So we can just increase the shadow a little bit, right, like so. All right, and I'm going to increase the blur to 24. Okay, so now you have it kind of sitting on top of the level. Now we're going to do one more thing to make it stand out even more. And what we're going to do is we're going to subdue these other two levels. We're going to push them down a little bit. So I'm going to select the section here, move over to the right, go to advanced. And from the margin here, I'm going to just increase the margin here to medium. Or let's make it large. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing here on the third option. Select advanced, and from the top we're going to make that large as well. Okay, so now this is really elevated now, and we can now see that this pricing table is more prominent. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and update, save my work, and when we view the page, you can see this is the initial pricing table that we created. It's just very simple pricing table, very minimalist. And if you look over here, so this stands out a little bit more because we're highlighting an option that we want people to select. Okay. So next, let's go ahead and create the final pricing table for the pricing table 2 before we move on to our complex pricing table. Okay, so let's go back to edit page. And let's open up our list view. So we now have these two pricing tables. So we're going to select the second one, and here on the ellipsis option, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. So I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'll also duplicate this divider to create some space between the two, because we're going to modify that second one. There you go. So we're going to modify this one again to just create a different kind of highlight and prominence. This one's going to be really fast and really simple. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this section here, and I'm going to delete it. You don't want to have too many items because then it becomes a little bit too obvious. So let's go ahead and remove that section. Okay, so now we have everything that's nice and clear. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add an icon, and we're going to make it look as though that icon is in the background or next to the pricing here. Okay, so to do that, select the very first text, which is the label for this level, so advanced. You're going to hit enter to create a new block line. Then do a / and start typing icon. And we're going to select the cadence icon. So now we have an icon here. And then over here on the right hand side, what we're going to do to this icon is we're going to change it to a different icon. So let's make it something nice like fire. So let's choose this flame as our icon. And let's give it a flame color, like a bright orangish yellow color. But a little brighter than that. Here we go. Okay, so now we've added an indicator that kind of makes this even more prominent. So now what we want to do is I want this icon to be more in the background. See how it's creating all this space here? We're going to change all that. So I'm going to select the icon. I'm going to move over to the right. And here in the icon alignment, I'm going to go ahead and set that to justify to the right. Okay. Now, make sure you've selected the icon container, right? So every time you add an icon with Kadence, if you look over here on the left, you'll see the single icon itself, and then there's the icon container. Okay. Make sure you have the icon container selected so that you can see the icon alignment options. If you selected just the icon, you won't see those options. Okay. So I want to make sure I've selected the icon container. Another way to do it is you can do it directly. So you can select the icon and you'll see the blue line that says the icon's been selected. But if you move over to the right just a little bit and you click, you will select the icon container. So now that I have that, I can now move over here to the icon alignment and justify that to the right. Okay. And then now that I've done that, I'm going to go back and select the actual icon itself, and I'll make some changes here. So first, I want the icon size to be 150 pixels. So it's really big. And then under the advanced tab, I'm going to set up some settings here. I'm going to use the top margin to move it up a little bit, and we're going to do that with a negative margin. To do that, select the custom size option right over here. Click in the top field, do a dash for negative sign, and we'll do 50 pixels. And then we're going to move this to the right with another negative margin, and we're going to do negative 60 pixels. So now this is to the right. And then for the bottom, we're going to pull this up a little bit. So I'm going to click in the bottom field, and I will do negative 150 pixels. Okay. This is now positioned exactly where I want it. However, we still have this big gap over here. And the way we eliminate this is we know that anytime we add some advanced text, there's some default margin with that advanced text, unless you set up your defaults earlier. What we're going to do now is we're going to select this pricing right over here. I'm going to move over to the right, and I'm going to go to the advanced. And right over here where it says margin, there's nothing in here, but there is some margin there because we can see it. I'm going to click in that field, and I'm going to move the slider around. When you do that, then you now can customize how much margin will be in there. So you can kind of see that moving around there. So I'm going to set this to XXS, just a little bit of margin. So extra, extra small. And if I click away from this, we can now see that we have positioned our flame next to the pricing seamlessly. I'm going to go ahead and click on update. And when we view the page, this is the initial one that we first created. This is a slight modification that we made with the most popular and best value banner. And then over here, we just have a small indicator icon flame that we've placed next to the pricing for the more prominent pricing. Now you guys may be wondering, as we're doing this, how does this look on mobile? Well, you always want to make sure that you're taking care of the mobile responsiveness of it. Now out of the box, this is going to be mobile responsive, but there may be some spacing issues because we created some space here and space there. So they're very easy to fix. If we look at this on a mobile device now, so I'm using the Chrome developer tool to do this. Okay, so you'll still see that all our elements still present very well. Okay, now over here there's a little bit of a gap which we can fix, and over here there's a little bit of a gap, but see, everything kind of holds its position. And this is one of the beautiful things about Kadence, is that a lot of times the mobile responsive editing you have to do is very minimal. So why don't we go ahead and take care of that so that you can kind of see how it works. So I'm going to click on edit page and scroll down to our element here, and we'll start with this one. Just select the row so I can see it better. And now that we have the row, let's take a look at what this looks like on a tablet. So I have the row selected. I'm going to move over to the right, under layout, select the tablet icon. Okay, so we can now see what this looks like on a tablet. Let's go up here. All right, so on the tablet, it looks very smushed. Still readable, but not as presentable as we'd like it. So what we want to do here is move over to the right, and we'll make all of these collapse to rows. Okay, so select this final option right here, and now we have this looking a lot more presentable. Okay, now over here we have this gap. we don't have the same gap over here. So let's go ahead and create a gap with this section. I'm going to go ahead and select the section by clicking on the corner here, move over to the right, select advanced, make sure that you have the tablet icon selected, and at the very top I'm going to go ahead and increase the margin to large. Okay, so now everything looks nice and even. I can stop here because if I go to the mobile phone version of it, it's going to adapt the tablet version. Okay, so if I scroll here, we can see the spacing is still there. My marquee is still here and it looks good. And everything looks great. Like I said, very minimal mobile editing needed. Okay, so let's go down to the third one. I'm going to go back to my tablet view here. And now we're going to take care of this one. Okay, so I'm going to select the entire row. Make sure I'm in tablet view. Go ahead and select the collapse to rows, which is the final layout option here. And if we scroll down, just make sure that everything looks good. Select the middle icon, the middle section. Go over to the right. Click on advanced. Go to the margin. Increase this to large. And now we've ensured that everything looks even. Looks good. Okay, and that is how you apply your mobile editing to your customized pricing table. So everything will look good. Click on update. And if we view the page now, and we look at this on a mobile device, we can see that our presentation looks good. Now let's do one more, and then we'll move on to our complex pricing table. Okay, so for the final simple pricing table, let's go back to edit page, and we're going to open up our list view again so we can see all the pricing tables we created. So this final one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the spacer divider. I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm also going to select the row layout, which contains the last pricing table we built. Then in the options ellipsis here that shows up in the short menu, I'm going to go ahead and click that, and I'm going to click on duplicate. That will provide me with a copy of that final pricing table along with a divider to create some spacing. Next, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to that, make sure I'm at the last one here, and I'm going to modify this a little bit more. So the first thing I want to do, I want to get rid of this icon. So I'm going to select the icon and click on remove single icon. So everything's kind of back to normal now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making changes to this center one. And I'm going to start with the background. So what I want to do is I want to apply a gradient background to it. So I'm going to select the section, move over to the right, go to style. And under the background options, I'm going to select the gradient background. And to be able to apply a gradient background, you just simply click in any of these circles here or anywhere on this bar, and you'll see the color options. And I'm just going to select let's go ahead and select a very light blue color. You can pick any light blue that you like. And then I'm going to select the second circle here. And this is a very nice gradient flow here, but I'm just going to increase that darkness a little bit across here. Apply the one that looks good to you. They pretty much all look great. Okay, so now that I've applied that, the next thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to start making some modifications to all of the levels here. What I want to do is I want to add a very subtle pricing behind the actual price. Okay, it's just a design element. So to do that, I'm going to click on the first text over here. So the label in the middle. I'm going to make sure I'm at the end, and I'm going to hit enter. It's going to create a new block line for me. And then I'm going to do a /, and I'm going to select advanced text. And this advanced text, I'm going to make it, I'm just going to give it the number of the price, which is 15. I'm going to go ahead and align this to the right. And then I'm going to select the advanced text again, move over here to the settings on the right here. And I want this to be really big. So I'm going to select the custom options, and we're going to make this 200 pixels. For the line height, I'm going to open up the options for the line height here, and I'm going to select M's, and I'm going to make this 0.1. Okay, it's going to bring everything together here. And because this short menu is jumping around and kind of blocking everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily move it to the top. And let me close this list view so that you can see everything clearly. So what I'm going to do to move this to the top, if you move up to the top right corner where you have the options ellipsis for the entire page, if you click on that, there's an option called top toolbar. If you turn that on, it will move the toolbar for any block that you select to the top left-hand corner. And you can still have access to everything that you need, but it's just here and it's affixed to the top here. So it's not blocking any of the blocks that you're working with. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and select my advanced text, and I'm going to move over to the right, and I'm going to adjust the color. So I'm going to click on the color option. I'm going to set that to white, and then I'm going to start reducing the opacity of this. I'm going to bring it down till it's barely visible. The idea is to make it look like it's in the background. All right, so about 10% is good enough. Let's make that 0.10. Okay, so you can, it's still subtle enough that you can see it. It looks like a design element. Next, we're going to take care of this spacing over here. So I'm going to move over to the right, go to advanced, and here where we have the margins, there's a couple things that I want to do. I want it to be moved a little bit more to the right. So I'm going to select the right margin here. I'm going to do a negative sign or dash. Whoops, actually first we need to select the custom sizing option. So that's this icon all the way here on the right. Then on the right, do a negative sign or a dash, and we're just going to add 20 pixels to that. On the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and add 30 pixels. So negative 30 pixels. Okay, so a dash with negative 30 pixels. And you can see immediately that brings it all the way up here. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with this. I like the way this looks. So I'm not going to make any further changes there. That looks great. Now I'm going to replicate the same effect for the other pricing options in the other columns. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this advanced text that we've created, and I'm going to move up here to my short menu. Remember, we moved it up here to the top so it doesn't block anything. I'm going to click on the options ellipsis, and I'm going to copy that block, and then I'm going to move over to my left column. Make sure I have the first text selected. I'm going to hit enter to create a new block line, and then I'm going to do a Command V because I'm on a Mac, or you can do a Control C if you're on PC. That's going to go ahead and paste it in there. Now you won't see it because it's white, but it is selected. If I open this up in list view, I can see that that advanced text is selected. So I'm just going to immediately move over to the right and give it a new color so I can see it. And I'm just going to use my subtle text color here. So now that I can see it, I need to change the amount. So just go ahead and click on it, delete the 5, add a 2. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to reduce the opacity to 0.1. All right. And then next, we're going to go ahead and copy it. So you can copy it again, copy the block. And then we're going to go over to our right-hand column, select the label, hit enter to create a new block line, and do a Command V to go ahead and paste it in there. And then do backspace while you still have it pasted. Just do a backspace, that will delete the 2 there. And we're going to type 8 for 18. And then the next thing that I want to do here is I want to add a little bit more styling to my columns to make it more distinct. So I'm going to select the section. Let's click on the corner of any section. Move over to the right. Go to Style. Scroll down. Go to Border Styles. And we're going to give the top radius here 40 pixels. We're going to give the right 40 pixels, bottom 40 pixels, and the left 40 pixels. This gives us some nice rounded corners. Now I could have just unified everything and just made it 40 pixels. Okay, so 40 pixels all around. Now we need to do the same thing to the left and right, but this time we're only going to do it to some of the corners and not all of them. So I'm going to select the starter column here. Just make sure you have the section selected. Move over to the right, go to Style, scroll down, look for Border Styles. And here the border radius for the top, we want that to be 40 pixels. And the border radius for the bottom here, we want that to be 40 pixels, okay? And typically the way this works is it just goes top, right, bottom, left. So over here, we're gonna make this 40 pixels, okay? And then we're gonna move over here to the right-hand side, go to Style, Border Styles. And this time I want the right corner to be 40 pixels. And I want the bottom corner here, bottom right, to be 40 pixels. So we now have this rounded effect, which is making our pricing table look a little bit more dynamic. Now we need to also set this up for mobile. Okay, so let's go ahead and select the entire row. I'm going to move over here to the right. Select the tablet view. Okay, so we can see it already. Looks really good. And now, because in tablet view, we want the rounded corners, we want to retain our rounded corners, but because on the left-hand side, we didn't do it all the way across, now we can do that. So I'm going to go select the section again, move over to the right, go to Style, scroll down, look for the border. Look for border radius. Make sure that you have the tablet icon selected. Go ahead and unify it and type in 40. So unifying means that I'm going to click on this link right here, which will make everything just one field for me. And now we can see that we have all rounded corners. Scroll down. Our middle one is just fine, so we're not going to do anything there. And then the final pricing table here, just go ahead and select that section. Move over to the right, go to Style. Scroll down, look for border styles, border radius. Go ahead and click the link to link the fields and enter 40. Okay, now that looks good. Then let's take a look at what it looks like on our mobile device or on a cell phone. Okay, so over here, just making sure that all the elements are in place, and they are. This looks good. This looks good. And that looks good. Okay. We'll go ahead and save our work by clicking on Update. And when you view the page, if we take a look at our final simple pricing table, you can see now that you have your design in place. I hope you had a lot of fun doing that. It's just a subtle change, but you can see how it creates a very large impact. Next, we're going to go into our final pricing table, which is going to be the complex pricing table. This is a pricing table where we will have multiple rows, multiple pricing, and different views for desktop and mobile. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what is a complex pricing table? And I'm just calling it a complex pricing table because I found these very easy to build, but a complex one is typically one that has more detail and more information. And so let me show you an example of what this looks like and what we're going to build. So this is the one that we're going to build. This is our complex pricing table. And the reason I call it complex is because you have this heading, right? This header table. It looks like a table, right? And then you have all these rows and columns as well. And the issue with this type of pricing table is whether or not you could build something like this in desktop view and then also have it look good on mobile as well when everything collapses. It's usually the age-old issue with tables, and I'm here to tell you that this is very possible. A lot of people question whether or not Gutenberg can build out these types of tables or whether you can use Kadence Blocks to do it, and you can. You just need to know how and have the expertise to. And by the end of this video, this tutorial, you'll know exactly how to build out a pricing table like this. And then when we look at it on mobile, it'll conform to the mobile device and still look very good no matter what device you're looking at. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on building out this pricing table from scratch. Here we are at our site where we've been building out these pricing tables. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a new page. So I'm going to go to New in the WordPress admin toolbar. I'm going to click on Page, New Page, and we're going to title this Pricing Table 3. We're going to set up our page by going over to the right, go to the page settings, and we're going to disable the page title. Our page layout will be full width. The content style is unboxed, and the content vertical padding is going to be disabled. Go ahead and publish to save the page. And then we're going to go ahead and begin. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some text. So I'm going to click on the plus sign over here. Select the row layout. I want a one row column. And I'm going to set this column to be full width. Next, we're going to move over to the right-hand side under Layout. Just go ahead and toggle on the Content Max Width to go ahead and center the intersection of the row so everything's in the middle. Then we're going to start adding our blocks. So click on the plus sign and select Advanced Text. Center this text using the short menu here. We can also go ahead and disengage this from the top of the page if you like. So to do that, just go over here to the corner ellipsis and toggle off the top toolbar. That's going to give us back the floating version of the toolbar. Okay, so here we want this to say introductory headline text. We're also going to set this from an H tag to a div. So just go ahead and select the H tag option in the toolbar and we'll turn this to a div. Next, on the right hand side, I want to go ahead and make that uppercase. So under the letter case, just go ahead and select the uppercase option. And then we're going to go ahead and create our next line of text. Click right next to it and hit enter for a new block line /, and we're going to go ahead and select the advanced text. Let's go ahead and center that text, and we will call this our catchy headline pricing text. And with this one, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and reduce the spacing between both of these. So a good way to do that, just go over here to the right hand side, click on advanced, select the top margin, and we'll reduce that margin. Okay, set it to about extra small, it's good enough. Then we're going to go ahead and enter, do a /, select the advanced text again, and go ahead and center that text, and we'll change this tag from an H tag to a paragraph tag. And then we're going to go ahead and paste in some lorem ipsum text. Okay, great. So now we have everything all set up here. Now the only thing left to do is we want to go ahead and reduce the width of the text here. What I want to do is I want to place all of this inside of another section. So go ahead and select the first text, the introductory headline text that we created, and then using the option here, the ellipsis option, go ahead and open that up and click on insert before. Then do a / and start typing the word section. And you want to select the cadence section, which is this one over here. And then we're going to go ahead and grab everything here. Just go ahead and click on the first one, hold down the shift key, click on the last text, and all of it will be selected. Then we're going to go ahead and drag everything right into that section and drop it in. If we open this up in list view, we'll now see that we have this row, we have the section, and we have another section. Select that section, move over to the right, look for the content max width under the general tab, open that up, and we'll set this to 700 pixels. All right, and that gives us a nice compact heading text. Excellent. Next, we need to create the row that's going to hold the headline for our pricing table. Okay, to do that, let's go ahead and open up list view again, and we want to make sure we have that section selected. Go ahead and click on the ellipsis for the options, click on insert after, that will give us a new block line. Do a /, select the row layout from the menu that pops up, and this time we want a 4-column menu. Okay, now select that row and move over to the right. Go to advanced. Let's give that a little bit of margin so there's some separation between that row and the section above it. So we'll set this up to be extra large. Okay, great. So now we have our row. This is going to be the heading row for our complex pricing table. Now we're going to go ahead and just do a few background things to make it stand out. So go ahead and make sure that you have the row selected, move over to the right, go to style, and for the background we're going to select a gradient, and we're going to go ahead and click on the first color, and from this color option we're going to select, let's get like a nice blue, a nice light blue. You can do any light blue that you like, but we'll do just a nice light blue like that. And then on the other side, actually that blue looks very good, so we'll just leave that the way that it is. Okay, next we need to change the orientation of this. I kind of want this going from top to bottom, so the way to do that is you just move this circle over here and you'll see the gradient moving around. So I kind of like it slightly slanted, but from top to bottom. Next, what we need to do now is we need to set up our sections on the inside to be able to hold our content. So the first section over here, I'm just going to go ahead and select that section. Actually, let's start with the second section, because even though this has 4 sections, we're really only going to be using 3 of them to put their pricing and labels for our pricing table. So let's do the first one. So I'm going to click on the plus sign over here. I'm going to select the advanced text. I'm going to immediately change the color to white, and we're going to call this our starter. Let's go ahead and center that text by using the alignment here in the toolbar. And then over here on the right, I'm going to allow the font size to be medium and set the letter case to be uppercase. Next, I'm going to add some pricing below that. So just go ahead and click on that heading text, press the enter key, and then in that new block line, do a / and look for the advanced text. And then from here, we're going to do a $49 per month pricing option. And I'm going to go ahead and center this, change the color so we can see it. So change it to white. Okay, and I want this text to actually be small text. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage the highlight feature of the heading text by highlighting the $49. And then in the toolbar menu here, I'm going to click on the more icon and I'm going to select the first highlight. Okay, that's going to turn on the highlight for that text that I've highlighted. Then move over to the right hand side under style, select highlight settings, and we're going to change that color back to white, and we're going to increase the size to extra large. Okay, so that's going to give us that effect of making the amount more prominent and the per month a little bit more subdued. Next, we're going to go ahead and put a little description right after this pricing. So I'm going to select the entire heading, hit enter. For a new block line, do a / and add some advanced text. I'm going to change the categorization of this advanced text to paragraph, and we're going to go ahead and center it. And then we're going to go ahead and change the color so we can see it. And we're going to paste in some text. All right, next, what we want to do is we want to set up our section, because even though we have padding over here for our row, we're going to eliminate that padding later on. But for the section itself, I want the section to be a little bit more compact. So go ahead and select any item or any block inside of this section, and then look over to the left in your list view. If it isn't open, just go ahead and open it. And we want to go ahead and select that second section. Now we have the section selected. Move over to the right, go to advanced, and under the padding, you can go ahead and link the padding using this icon, and then we'll just give it an extra small padding. Okay, so about 16 pixels. All right, so now our section is pretty much set up. What we want to do now is want to just add a button. So under the last text that you have here at the end of it, go ahead and hit the enter key, do a / and start typing advanced, and you'll see advanced buttons from Kadence. Go ahead and click on that. And we're going to call this button Get Started. Now the button is blue, so we want this to show up a little bit more. Select the button, move over here to the right, go to style. For the color, let's leave that as white. But for the background color, I'm going to invert this a little bit. So I'm going to make this light blue. So grab the light blue here, and we're just going to increase the lightness. And then go to the hover, and under the hover color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this color to that color that we just created, that blue color. That's going to be the color of the text on hover, and then the background color is going to be this light blue. So that way we have this effect right over here when you hover over it. Next, what we want to do is we want to set up this button to look a little bit nicer. So we're going to add a border radius to it. I'm going to go ahead and unify the sides here by clicking on this icon. And we'll set that to 50 pixels for the border radius for this button. Make sure you're in the normal tab when you do that so that it adapts it here, 50 pixels. Okay. Next, in the general tab, I'm going to set up the button width to be fixed, and the fixed width is going to be 180 pixels. Now, all I need to do is make sure we can see the text in the button a little bit better. So make sure you have the button selected, move over to the right, go to style, and we're going to look at typography settings all the way at the bottom. And what we want to do here is we want to set the letter case to be all caps, and then we're going to set the font weight to be bold. All right, so now we can see the button a lot better. Then I'm going to go ahead and click on the advanced button itself. Then we're going to go ahead and click on every item that we have here in this section. So I'm going to click on the starter, and then I'm going to click on the button. I like to do it in the list view because it just makes it a lot easier. So I have the advanced text. I'm going to hold down my shift key and click on the advanced buttons. Now I have everything selected. Next, using the ellipsis here, I'm going to go ahead and copy these blocks, and then I'll move over to the plus sign over here. Click on the plus sign in the second column, add a paragraph text, and do a Command V or Control V if you're on a PC, and it's going to paste it in there exactly the way you have it. Repeat that for the third column, paragraph, Command V or Control V. Okay. Next, we need to make sure that our sections are also matching. So I'm going to go ahead and select this section by clicking on the top corner over here. Now the section is selected. I'm going to click on the copy paste style icon in the toolbar, copy the style, and then I'm going to select the second section in the list view, and I'm going to go ahead and paste the style there, select the section again, and paste the styles there. Okay, so now everything looks good and even. One more thing that I want to do here with this row is select the row, move over to the right, go to advanced, go to structure settings, and set the inner column height to be 100% so that everything is 100% and everything matches. All right, so far this looks good. Next, we need to add some separation between our sections. Here on the second section, move over to the right, go to Style, go to Border Styles, and as we scroll down over here, we want to select a very light subtle color here. So I'm going to select a lighter background, and I'm going to unlink the sides because I only want this on the left side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add this as a 1. Okay, so I can now see that border is there, right there, separating these two sections. It does look a little bit light, so let's go ahead and fix that. Click on the section again, move over to the right, scroll down, make sure I'm under the Style tab, scroll down to the border, select that color, and what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the opacity to, and then I'm going to repeat that for each section. So go ahead and click on the corner of that section, select the copy styles, select the next section, paste the style, select the next section, and paste the style. Okay, so now everything's matching. This looks great. Next, I'm going to go ahead and finish out by finishing the design of the row itself. So I'm going to go ahead and select that row. First thing that I want to do is I want to eliminate the padding. To do that, just go ahead and select the row, move over to the right hand side over here, go to Advanced, link up all the fields for the padding, and then zero that out. Okay, so now everything is flush. All right, next what I want to do is I want to add some border radius to this row. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Style while the row is selected, go to Border Settings, and then under the border radius for the top, I'm going to set that to 40 pixels, and for the right, that's what's going to be set to 40 pixels. Okay, so now this looks really good. Our initial heading is now set up. Now we just need to change the names of the different levels in the pricing table. So this is Starter. Let's call this one Premium, and let's increase this by $20. Next, we're going to go ahead and create the benefits and the rows that are going to go below this one. Okay, so the two things we want to accomplish with this pricing table is, one, we want to create all the other benefit rows below it. And then I also want to create a tag or a highlight for the premium option right above it. Okay, so that way we are highlighting which one we want people to focus on. And then we're also listing all the benefits below in an alternating color table. Okay, so to do this, the first thing I want to make sure of is I want to make sure that this heading row over here is completely set up correctly so that it can handle the corresponding rows below it and everything matches up uniformly. So let's go ahead and take care of that first. The first thing I want to do is I want to select this row, and you can select the row here in List View, or you can select it directly in the editor. Now, when you have the row selected, let's move over to the right and let's just make sure a few things are done correctly. Number one, in the layout, what I want to make sure of is I want to make sure that the column gutter is set to none. And the reason why is because there's a default column gutter in here, and you can kind of see how it's making our content. It's creating this gap in our content. So if you don't want that, just go ahead and set the column gutter to none. And when you do that, then everything is spread out correctly, but then the sections are all flushed together without any gap in between. The second thing that I want to make sure of is I want to make sure that I'm able to place an additional row right above this one. To do that, make sure you have the row selected, and either using the vertical ellipses option here or the vertical ellipses options here, either one will work. Go ahead and click on it, and then click on Insert Before. That's going to give us a new row line above this row. And in this new row line, I'm going to click on it. I will do a / and I will begin typing the word row. And you will see the option for the row layout from Kadence. Go ahead and select that row. And then we're going to add a second 4-column row above our current heading rows. Okay. So now that we have that selected, then I want to make sure that this has the same properties as this row does. And I'm going to do it manually versus just copying it using the copy paste icon. I'm going to do it manually because I'm not really looking for all of the components. I'm just looking for some of that. So I'm going to select the row. Make sure you have that row selected. Then move over here to the right. And I'm going to set the column gutter to none so that it's a perfect match with what we have below it. And then also under the advanced, what I want to do here is I want to eliminate any padding. So I'm going to go ahead and just link the fields, the padding fields, and I'm just going to set this down to 0. Now this has no padding. And then the thing I want to do is I want to transfer the margin that we placed on this row. I'm going to transfer that up here. So I'm going to add a margin to the top row that we just created. And let's add an extra large margin. And what that's going to do is it's just going to give some space between this text section and the row itself. And now that I've transferred that margin over, I'm going to eliminate the margin on this bottom row. So I'm going to come over here to select this row, move over to the right, go to advanced, and I'm going to go ahead and zero out this margin. That's going to make that row flush against this row. Okay, so now we've created just some sections above the heading row that we created initially. Now all we need to do is go ahead and place our text that we want to use to highlight this one right above it. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to select advanced text. We're going to go ahead and center that text, and we should call this most popular. Okay, I'm going to set the size of it here on the right hand side under the settings. Under style, I'm going to set that to medium, or actually let's leave it at the default. I think that's fine. What I want to do is I want to increase the case, so we're going to make this uppercase. So under the letter case, go ahead and select the uppercase icon. Okay, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to add a background behind it. To add the background behind it, I'm going to actually put the background on the section. So I'm going to select the section that contains that heading, and within that section I want to make the text in the center. So I'm going to select the vertical alignment. We're going to align that to the middle, and then over here on the right I'm going to go to style. While I have the section still selected, I'm going to go to the gradient, and under the first color I want this to be a bright yellow. So a really nice rich bright yellow color. I want to create something that is noticeable. Okay, so that's bright yellow. And then I'm going to go to the second color in the gradient, and I will make that tinted orange. Kind of a rusty orange looking color here. Okay, so we kind of get this sort of sunlight feel to it. Okay, that looks great. Next, I'm going to go to border styles. While I'm under the style tab, go to border styles, and on the top border we're going to give this a 20 pixel radius, and on the top left, and then on the top right we're going to give that a 20 pixel radius. Okay, so far that looks good and noticeable. All right, so now that we can see what we're doing here, I'm looking at the text, and I think I would like this text to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select the text. The medium looks too small to me, so I'm just going to go to my custom size, and I'm going to set this to 24 pixels, and that looks a lot better to me. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go ahead and update my work and view the page, and we can see now that we now have a highlight for the option that we want people to focus on. Okay, so now let's go ahead and build out our benefit rows. So I'm going to go back to edit page, and right here I'm going to go ahead and select this row, and let's open up list view to make sure that we have the actual correct row selected here. So I want the second row. I'm going to go ahead and click on the vertical ellipsis for the options and click on insert after. And then right here I'm going to do a / and we're going to add another 4-column row. So just go ahead and type the words row. You'll see the row layout option here. Click on it and then select a 4-column row. And then once again, we're going to go ahead and set this up so that it matches well with the rows that preceded. So to do that, make sure you have the row selected, move over to the right. The column gutter is going to be none, and then we're going to go to advanced, and we're going to set the padding to be none for all of the fields. Go ahead and link the fields and then move the slider down to 0. Now what we need to do is start adding the benefits in here. So we're just going to put some generic benefits, and for this one we're just going to call it awesome benefit. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is want to go ahead and add the padding into each individual section. So select the first section here, move over to the right, go to advanced, and if you remember, padding that we have is the extra small. Okay, that's going to match the padding that is here in the header row. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and copy the styles for this section, select the next section, or we can do it here in list view, and we'll paste that there. Select the next one, paste, select the next one, copy paste icon, and paste. Okay, so now this row and the sections are ready for us to add some text to. So the first thing we want to do here, click on the plus sign, select the advanced text, and we're just going to call this awesome benefit. And we're going to make this a paragraph text. So select the heading tag and just turn it into a paragraph. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that this text is centered across the row. So let's go back, select the entire row again, and then here in the toolbar, click on the vertical alignment and select align to middle so that everything is in the middle. All right. So the other thing I also want to do with this row is I want to give it a color. And even though it's showing white right now by default, technically it's just transparent. So I'm just going to keep that row selected, move over to the right, go to style, and we're going to add a background color of white. Then we're going to move over to the next section, click on the plus sign, and in this case, we're going to add an icon. And the icon that we want to use is some kind of positive check mark. So here on the right hand side, we're going to click in the icon options and just do a search for check. All right, so we can either use one of these checks or we can use a filled in check. Let's just go ahead and use a simple check mark like that. We're going to reduce the size of this to 30 pixels. And then we're also going to change the color. So let's change the color of it to, let's give it a light blue like that. Okay, that looks good. It still looks a little bit big. So let's reduce that even more to 25. Okay, now that looks good. Okay, now let's go ahead and copy this icon. So we're going to copy the block. Just go ahead and select it. Click on the options ellipsis, click on copy block, then go to the next section, click on the plus sign, select paragraph, and then using Command V or Control V on your PC, go ahead and paste that in, and then repeat that process for the next one. All right, so now we have all of our check marks. Okay. The other thing that we want to do is we also want to create a line, so a demarcation line here between the benefit and the checks. So let's go ahead and select this section, move over to the right, click on style, go to border style. We're going to unlink the border, and then on the right hand side, we're going to add a 1 pixel border. Go ahead and select the color, and from the color selector, let's use the subtle text color. So next, what we need to do is we need to create an alternate line, and this is going to be very easy to do. Just move over here to the right, select the row that we just created, and then here in the options vertical ellipsis, go ahead and open that or click on it, and then click on duplicate. That now gives us a second benefits line. Now what we're going to do in this line here, in this row, is we're going to change the color so we have an alternating color scheme happening. While that row is selected, move over to the right, go to style, click on the background color options under background settings, and we're just going to use our lightest color. All right, so now we have 2 benefit lines. So now that we have these 2, then all we need to do to create more benefits is to simply select both of them and then duplicate them. To do that, we can go ahead and select the first row, hold down your shift key, select the second row. Then click on the vertical options ellipsis, select duplicate, and let's just do this a few more times. All right, so now we have a full pricing table with all of the benefits listed. Now, one other thing that you can do now is we can also add another getting started button right below this one, okay? And we can do that actually very easily. So what we want to do now is go ahead and select that last row, click on the options ellipsis, click on duplicate, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the items that are inside here. Okay, so I'm going to start with the heading text, just select it and remove that. I'm also going to select these check marks, remove those, and then I'm also going to remove the color from the entire row itself. So select the row in the list view, move over to the right, click on style, and let's just make it white. Then the last thing I want to do is I also want to remove this border. So select the section and then move over to the right, style, border styles, and I'm just going to go ahead and zero this out. All right, now that looks great. So what I want to do now is then go ahead and add the buttons. So select the button that you have up here in the heading row. Make sure you have the advanced button selected. Click on the options ellipsis, copy the block, and the row below. Click on the plus sign, select the paragraph, and Command V on your Mac or Control V on your PC. And then we'll repeat that same process for the other 2 columns. Excellent. So now we have buttons on the top and we have buttons on the bottom. Now we need to make the different levels in the pricing table. We need to add some differences. So What we're going to do is for the last 4 here, we're going to make those different, or you don't get those benefits. And then here for the last 2, we'll make it so you don't get those benefits. And here on this final one, you get all the benefits. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that up right now. So I'm going to click on this icon, move over to the right, click here. And what I'm looking for is an X. So there's actually an X icon here. Here it is. We'll select that one. And then we're also going to change the color of the icon. Let's make that color red. Excellent. Then what I'm going to do now from this point is I'm just going to simply copy this block, select the next icon block, and paste. I'm pasting with Command V or Control V if you're on a PC. All right. So at this point, we're actually done with our pricing table. Let's go ahead and save our work and let's view the page. And if we look here, we now have our nice table, alternating colors, and our buttons and our options or benefits in place. Now, as I'm looking at this, you can make some small tweaks, right? So, you know, maybe I don't like how dark this is appearing. I might want this to be a little bit more subtle. So let's go back to our editor here. I'm going to select this section, move over to the right, click on Style, and go to the border style. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to reduce the opacity. Okay, that looks more subtle. So I like this a lot better. Okay, so now I know I can just go to each section, go to Style, Border Styles, select the color, and reduce it to 50%. Okay, so I want to do that for the rest of these. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and save the page and view the pricing table, and everything looks great. What we need to do now is we need to create a responsive version of this pricing table, because if we look at this on a responsive device, so if we go to inspect, we look at this on the mobile device. Okay, one thing that you'll notice is everything looks very jumbled up, right? All the pricing is still on top. The benefits are listed here, and it doesn't look very good on mobile. So this is the challenge with building a table with section and rows in Gutenberg. But I will show you how we will overcome this and basically be able to have a beautiful pricing table that looks great on a mobile device as well. To create our mobile responsive version of the pricing table, we're going to start here on the list view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the outermost row in list view. I'm going to go ahead and collapse everything so that this is the only row that I see. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and duplicate this row. So click on the vertical ellipsis for the options and then select duplicate. That's going to go ahead and duplicate the row for us. Okay, so now we have 2 identical rows and 2 identical desktop view pricing tables. And then what I want to do is I want to label these. So the first one, just reselect the first one. I'm going to select the first one, move over to the right, select advanced, and then scroll down to the HTML anchor field. And we're going to call this one desktop view. Okay, so you should see that label right here in list view. Then I'm going to select the second one. And this one we're going to call mobile view. So go over here to the right, advanced, and we'll call this mobile view. Okay, so now we should have 2 different rows, and this will help us know which row we are working in. Now go back to the first row, which is the desktop view, then move over to the right, click on advanced, and then under the visibility settings, what we're going to do is we're going to say to hide this on the tablet and hide it on a mobile device. That way, this version will only show up on desktop. Then I'm going to select the second row layout, which is the mobile view, move over to the right, click on advanced, and select the visibility settings. And on this one, I'm going to hide this on desktop and only have it show up on tablets and also on mobile devices. Okay. All right, excellent. So now we can go ahead and get started with building out our mobile view. Okay, so we're strictly and specifically only going to be working with this second one here. All right, so to begin, what we're going to do is first, we're going to create the starter level. Okay, the starter level has 6 benefits and 4 benefits that are not available in the starter level. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by selecting this section here. So just click your mouse in there. And if you prefer to use the list layout to select it, you can do that as well. Once you've selected it, one of the things that you'll notice in Kadence 3.0 is that sections within rows can actually be moved left and right. So when you select a section, you have these arrows here that allow you to move that section left or right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this starter section label to the left. Okay, so it's at the in the first column now. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select the other ones, which is the $69 premium. Let's go ahead and select it. And I'm going to select all the blocks inside of this section. Okay, you can do that by clicking on the first one, holding down the shift key, and clicking on the last block. You'll also see it here in list view. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So we're going to remove that block. And then I'm going to come over here to Elite, select all the blocks, and I'm going to delete that as well. Okay, so now you should only have the starter option available and then the 3 sections that are empty. Then what you want to do next is go ahead and select the entire row itself. Okay, so you can do that in list view by just selecting the row itself. And once you have that row selected, move over to the right, and where it says columns under the layout tab, use the arrows to reduce the number of columns to just 1. Okay, so now we only have 1 set of columns here. Then the next thing that we need to do is when we scroll down, we need to go ahead and set up the benefit rows. Okay, to do that, what we want to do here is just go ahead and set this up to only have 2 rows. So 1 benefit and 1 check mark. The way we're going to do this is we're going to select the 3rd row, and we want to make sure we have that row selected. So when you click anywhere in the 3rd row, look in the list view and make sure you're selecting the actual row layout itself. Okay, so when you select that, then what you want to do next is you want to go ahead and select all the rows that are below that row. Okay, so we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows that are below that row. So I'm going to come over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold down your shift key, click on that 7th row, and then all the rows will be selected. And then what you want to do here is you're going to go ahead and click on the options, ellipsis, and then remove those blocks. So you should only have 2 rows left. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're now going to go ahead and make these 2 rows only have 2 columns. Okay. The way we're going to do that is first we're going to delete the check marks in the first row. So just select it and remove the icon. Select the next one and remove that icon, and then repeat the process for the 2nd row. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the first row. So make sure that this first row is selected. Just select that row layout. Make sure the entire row is selected. And then move over to the right and reduce the columns to just 2. Okay. Then we're going to repeat that process for the 2nd row and reduce the columns to just 2. Okay. Excellent. Next, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the awesome benefit, or whatever the benefits are, take up most of the space, and the check mark takes up a smaller space. Okay, so reselect that row again. Okay, and over here on the right hand side, you can go ahead and select the left heavy option. That's going to give us a view whereby the left side has more, is taking up more of the row than the right side. But before you do that, there's one important thing you have to make sure you're doing. The important thing you want to make sure that you're doing is you want to make sure that you have the mobile icon selected, or at the very least, the tablet icon selected. But I'm going to go ahead and select the mobile icon. Okay, that way I'm working in the real view of what this is going to look like on mobile. Okay, so you can see what it looks like right now. We're going to go ahead and fix that. Make sure that row layout is what is selected. We have the mobile icon selected here, and I'm going to go ahead and select the 2nd option in the layout, which is the left heavy 66 to 33%. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that for the 2nd row layout. All right. Okay, so now we have this looking very good already. Okay. All right, next, let's go back and expand back to our desktop view by clicking on the desktop icon. And maybe for visual purposes, if you'd like to just have that view while you're working on it in desktop view, you can do it as well. So let's just select both rows together and then go to the right and just go ahead and select the 2nd option. Okay, so now we have the rows the way that we want them. The next thing that we want to do here is we want to get rid of the 4-column button. Okay, so what we're going to do here is just go ahead and select any of the buttons and remove it. Select this next one and remove that one. And then this button right here, what we're going to do is just select the entire section and then move that section here all the way to the left. Then we're going to select that row layout, move to the right, and then reduce this to 1 column. Okay, so now we just have the 1 button there. So far, this looks great. Now all we need to do is just add the additional benefits. So we know that there are 6 benefits, and then there are 4 benefits that are not available in the starter option. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select that top row first. Make sure you have the row layout selected. Then hold on your shift key and select the second row. So now both rows are selected. Using the ellipsis option here, go ahead and open that up. And we're going to go ahead and duplicate the blocks. And you only need to do this 2 times. And so now we have all 6 of our available benefits. Let's also go ahead and create the 4 benefits that are not available. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to go ahead and make 2 more copies. So click on the vertical ellipsis, open up the options, select duplicate, and one more time, duplicate. And then all we need to do is now change these icons to the X. It's very easy. Let's just go back up to our desktop version, select one of the icons. We're going to make sure you have the full advanced, the full icon selected. Copy block, scroll down, and we'll start here at the bottom. Just go ahead and highlight it. You can use Command V or Control V on your PC to go ahead and paste that in. Okay, great. So now our first pricing table is now done, and this looks pretty good. So this is only going to show up on mobile, and I'm sure by now most of you have pretty much caught on to what we are doing here, right? So now that we've created the first one, it's going to be very, very easy for us to create the other 2. All we need to do is just duplicate this first level that we've created, and then we would have all the everything that we need. So let's go ahead and do that duplication now, and then go ahead and configure each one to be exactly how we want it to be. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to come up here to this row right here, this 4-column row where we have the most popular label. Okay, I'm going to select that row layout, and then I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I want to bring everything down all the way to the button. Actually, not the button, excuse me, all the way down to the row that is holding the button, right? So let's go back up and do that again. Select this row. I'll click here, and then make sure that I have it selected. Select the row. That's the row right here that holds that label. And then I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I'm looking for the row that contains this button. It's going to be the last row that's on here. Hold down the shift key, select that row. And then what we're going to do now is I'm going to click on the vertical ellipsis, duplicate, and then I will do it one more time. Okay, so we should now have 3 starters available to us. So next, what we're going to do now is go ahead and configure each one. So I know that this is not going to be the most popular one, so let's go ahead and select that row again. Select the row layout, click on the vertical ellipsis options, and remove that row layout. Okay, so that's now removed. Let's select this row again. We're going to go ahead and add some margin to it. So select the advanced margin, and let's do XL, extra large margin. Next, we're going to come over here to the most popular one, and if we remember, this was a $69 level. Okay, and what we want to do here is we want to make sure that the most popular label spans the full width of the heading for this table. So just select the section that contains the label. Okay, so here's that section right here, and then use the arrows to move it all the way to the left. Then we want to select the row, move over to the right, and reduce the number of columns under the layout. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the row that contains the pricing, and just make sure that I have the row selected, and then move over to the right. Under style, go to border settings, and we're going to go ahead and remove the 40 pixel border radius so that it's now flush with the label. Okay. All right, next we need to go ahead and add our benefits. So we know that there are 2 additional benefits and 2 benefits that are not available. So just go ahead and select one of the check marks and replace one of the X with those check marks. Clicking copy and Command V, Okay, so again, you just select it, select copy block, and then go ahead and paste them where they need to go. All right, and now this is done. Okay, so scroll down, come over here. This is going to be our $89 level, and we're going to call this Elite. And let's not forget to relabel this as Advanced. Okay, and then we also know here that this is not going to have that label, so let's go ahead and select the entire row. Make sure we have the entire row selected. Click on the vertical ellipsis and click on Remove Row Layout. All right, now let's also add a little bit of spacing between these two. So let's go ahead and select that row again. Make sure I have the row layout selected. Go to Advanced, and under the margin, we're going to give it an extra large. Now we also need to make sure that all the benefits are available in the Elite option here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this check mark. So select it, select the icon, click on Copy Block, select the X icon, Command V or Control V if you're using a PC, and give them all the options. Okay, and just like that, we have pretty much completed building out the mobile version of our pricing table. Okay, so let's go ahead and update everything and then take a look at it on the front end. So now when we view the page, we only see the desktop version. And when we look at it in the mobile responsive view or on a mobile device, we can see now that the pricing table presents beautifully. Okay. And with that, that will conclude our video on how to create simple to complex pricing tables using Kadence Blocks. Hey, thank you so much for staying this long through the video. I hope you got a lot out of it. We use a lot of different techniques and a lot of different ways of using the row block and the section blocks to be able to create our pricing table. And we also learned some really cool mobile responsive techniques. If you really liked this video, please go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me and it helps the algorithm and it helps other people find the video. If you have a question about anything that we did in this video, then please go ahead and leave your question in the comment section below. Or if you just have a comment and you want to just speak your mind about what you think about the video, then go ahead and do that in the comment section below. I do read all of the comments. For those of you who are subscribed to my channel, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you. And for those of you who are not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified when I release new in-depth videos on Kadence and WordPress and other amazing tools that can help you be a better web designer or webmaster with WordPress. And for those of you who are supporting my channel and just watching it and enjoying the content, please go ahead and share this content with a friend. Feel free to share it on social media or anywhere else where people can find it, especially if you found the information taught in the video valuable. Once again, I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. And until the next time, I'll see you in the next.